Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 2020 virtual meeting of the Public Safety Committee. Many of you have joined this meeting via the meeting link that was sent to you by email. Please help to keep background noise to a minimum by muting your mic until you are ready to speak to the meeting. As a participant, if you would like to speak during any part of the meeting, you can click on raise hand next to your name. When it is your turn to speak, you will be recognized by the chairman and you can unmute your mic. Please state your name prior to speaking. Please indicate when you are done speaking and the chairman will move on to the next person. During the department reports, the chairman will call on each department one at a time. As a member of the general public, you have joined this meeting by calling in. Your microphone is muted upon joining the meeting. You are welcome to listen in to all or part of the entire meeting tonight. If you wish to address the committee during public comment, please press *9 to raise your hand. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be recognized. You'll be recognized by the chairman and you may unmute your mic by using the keystroke *6. Please state your name and address prior to speaking. Please indicate when you are done speaking and the chairman will move on to the next person. Please be advised that the audio, video, and chat history of this meeting is being recorded and that the media may be present for all or part of the meeting. At this time, please mute all background devices and we will begin. Thank you. Okay, so I call to order the October 14th, 2020 meeting of the Public Safety Committee. It is 7:02 p.m. First item on our agenda is adoption of previous minutes from September 9th, 2020. The members received those by email. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes? So moved by Alderman Nash. Oh, seconded by Alderman Bettencourt. Are there any changes, additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes? Okay, hearing and seeing none. All those in favor of adopting the minutes as presented? Aye, the chairman votes aye. The vote's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda, item 3, citizen comment. Is there anyone who would like to make a citizen comment to the committee tonight? Yes, sir. Last 4 digits, 3459.
Good evening, Joanne Philbrick, 10 Elm Avenue, Norwich, Connecticut.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi.
Go right ahead.
I'm calling tonight to make several comments, not directed necessarily at the Public Safety Committee, but hopefully to use you as a conduit to reach the city manager who, for whatever reason, refuses to take my phone calls. I want to start by saying that if there was ever a public safety issue, it is the coronavirus, its deadly infectious rate, and its deadly outcome. I am appalled at the city of Norwich, who has not had one update to their website since the beginning. Their one and only posting on the city's Facebook, on the city's webpage, is dated March 15th. Several weeks ago, the city had a meeting in front of City Hall to talk about the uptick. They talked about how they were going to have links where people could go to get information, that they were going to take down the basketball nets. None of that has happened. None of it. So I'm confused and a little bit annoyed. My second comment refers to the closure of the police station. In times of crisis and emergency, many people will gravitate toward a local police station or fire station for assistance. For years, the Norwich Fire Department has had a call box outside their back door where you can simply press a button and someone will come to the intercom and ask you what you need. I have utilized this service myself on several occasions. However, if you go to the Norwich Police Station today, you will be assaulted, I use that word, by any number of signs that say, call the telephone number. First and foremost, do not assume that everybody has a cell phone. Second of all, by closing, I can understand limiting the number of foot traffic, but by virtually and literally closing down the police station, you are putting people at risk on another plane. Now, I know for a fact that the people that sit in the dispatch center have cameras and they can see who's at the door. They choose, for whatever reason, not to acknowledge this. I was told by a police officer to go to the police station for the information that I was seeking, and that the duty officer would be available. That the City of Norwich Police Department needs to install, yesterday, in my opinion, some sort of call box so that somebody that comes to the police station and has an emergency can simply pick up the phone or press a button and say, I'm having a heart attack, I've been shot, I need this, I need that, and then let the dispatch center respond accordingly. I don't know what is going on in the city of Norwich, why in the last 8 months they haven't seen the need to update the website, but they're doing a disservice to the citizens of this community. So I am hoping that Mr. Salamone will hear this and that he will do something and update the city's website. And don't tell me to go to the Facebook page, because the city should have one central location where people can go for information. So I thank you, and I hope that you all stay safe. And I have kept my exposure. I'm sorry?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No?
No, I'm done. Thank you. I appreciate the time, and you all stay safe out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Good night.
Hey, is there any other public comment tonight? Second request, is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment to the committee tonight? Third and final time, is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment to the committee tonight? All right, hearing no other people wishing to make a public comment, declare public comment for this meeting closed. Thank you all very much. Moving on to item number 4 on our agenda, old business. COVID-19 resurgence impacts. I would like to start with the city manager, because obviously we just heard public comment about COVID. Also, we did have the press conference 2 weeks ago about COVID. There's been more information that's been coming out today about what's going on with schools. And I understand there was a video meeting today with the Uncas Health District. So John, if you could bring us all up to speed, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. There was a meeting this afternoon at 4 o'clock to discuss whether the city was going to stay in phase 3, which was implemented about a week ago by the governor, or revert back to phase 2. After a lot of discussion by the staff and the Board of Ed, Dr. Stringfellow, and the Uncas Health District, the recommendation was made to, at this point, stay in phase 3 for a couple of reasons. One is that we've done contact tracing, or not personally me, but the Uncas Health District and Department of Health, State Department of Health. And most of the increased infections are not occurring at restaurants or event venues, but occurring in more social settings, families, informal sporting events, like basketball games, things like that, that are not necessarily sanctioned by the city. So that was the first reason why we didn't revert. Second reason is that we have a very good rapport with the restaurants. The Norwich Department of Community Development is working closely with Jason of NCDC, and we have a very good rapport with the restaurants and have had a two-way conversation where the restaurants that are expanding to the 75% threshold are well aware of their responsibilities to maintain the social distancing and other parameters necessary. In addition, many of our restaurants cannot go to the 75% threshold. They're not large enough. Incorporating the social distancing at 50% fills up their cubic feet of customer area. So they're not going anyway. As far as the houses of worship, we have, again, a good communication with the Ecumenical Council, and the houses of worship were very successful in their first ratcheting up of celebrants to the various church, can't think of the word, just church events. And so we will allow that to continue. That was one of the major areas. The events like weddings, items like that, church events, which can increase by 50 individuals, and the restaurants. Finally, the state is encouraging the city to be more aggressive in enforcement of the any violation of the policies set forth by the governor's various executive orders. We are gradually doing that. The state is actually sponsoring an event on Friday to work with the cities and towns to have a good communication process and support system so the state can work with the local enforcement agencies. The enforcement agencies will be Uncas Health District and to an extent the police department. This is not to say that we'll be going out and looking for violations, but we'll try to be responsive to citizen complaints in the area of violations. Finally, you might be aware that the schools are going to gradually phase up their attendance. They are going for one more week of at-home distance learning. After next week, the schools are going to phase in hybrid learning over the next 3 weeks, and their goal is to have full in-school learning by the week of November 9th. So it's a gradual phase in. Again, the contact tracing has shown that the schools themselves have not been the source of increased infection of viruses. It's rather the social setting at home or in non-home events that has had the most growth. So with that combination, we feel that we can stay at 3. We will take another look at it in the next 2 weeks to see how the numbers are coming. right now the numbers have kind of leveled off. They're not really increasing much. So we're hopeful that over the next 2 weeks, we'll see a gradual reduction. But it takes about 2 weeks at least to show that reduction. So within another 2 weeks, we'd have about a month under our belts and we'd be able to judge it more accordingly. It's clear that if the increases are sustained, then we would look seriously at retrogressing to phase 2. I'll take any questions you might have.
So my first question goes to the schools. So I did see the article in the paper, and actually got an alert during the day today that both NFA and Norwich Public Schools is opting to remain 100% distance learning all the way until Friday the 23rd, which
That's correct. Yeah.
that would bring them back in a hybrid on the 26th.
Correct.
And then they intend to go to 100% in-person learning by 2 weeks later, which would be November 9th.
Right. That's my understanding.
And with the expectation that even at 100% in-person learning, they'll still be able to maintain social distancing, like desks 6 feet apart and things like that.
Yeah, all that would be maintained.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see how they're going to pull that off. But I just wanted to be clear about what you were saying, not to the issue with you. Okay.
No, you have it exactly right.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'm just making a note there. That was my only question. Members, Bill, Mark, any questions for the city manager? No? Okay. Okay, well, thank you for that, John. At this point, I'd like to turn to our, Mark, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were waving me off, not waving. Sorry, go ahead. You have the floor.
I'm having problems with my mic here. My computer's slowing down. I don't know. I'm still up. Can you unmute me? You unmute me?
Yeah. No.
I can hear him.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. John can hear you.
Okay.
Yep, Bill too. Yep.
All right. So yeah, because it still says my thing is spinning and looking like an evil machine. I apologize. I was supposed to be on that call at 4, but honestly, it just slipped my mind. I was still working and I just forgot all about it. In this case, I kind of share Joe's concern how we're going to accomplish this. I'm more concerned with really look at, how people are going to react to this kind of situation. We're moving forward so much, but I think maybe, if you're just basing it on numbers, which we really should be talking about, I don't think it's the wrong decision. So, but I think it's something that people are scared of. And we have to be cognizant of that, and as we move forward. So, but at the same time, we also have to keep an eye on the numbers. And like you mentioned, John, if it starts going south again, we've got to go back to hybrid or go back to distance learning, whatever it takes. So we just have to be prepared for those eventualities if they occur. That's what my only point.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, go ahead.
The key on this, Mark, is that the numbers, as you said, with the contact tracing, the numbers don't show that the problems are in the restaurants and the event venues. It's more spread out, community spread, in more social, not lack of social distancing, using masks in social settings, friends, things like that. That are really causing the increase. I'll give you an example, and we kind of put a stop to it. A few weeks ago, there was a lot of activity at the basketball courts.
Right.
And it wasn't so much playing basketball as it was the social setting where there were a lot of kids watching the games, and of course they didn't have masks on when they were watching the games, and there could be 50 or more people there. Well, finally, we had to, unfortunately, take down the hoops to try to curtail an event that we couldn't really control. It wasn't sanctioned by the city, but we felt that we had a responsibility to act on that. And we will not be increasing city sporting events in phase 3. That was not necessarily something that we had to do. So there will be what we have now as far as events in the recreation department will stay as it is. So we're not looking at enhancing that at all. Of course, the schools with their scholastic conferences will maintain the stance that the state is taking on that. That was it.
Mark? Looks like Mark's having a little bit of technical.
Yeah, I don't hear Mark now.
Mark, if you're having audio.
Yeah, hang on. I think I got it back.
There you go. There you go.
I'm having some glitches here. I probably need to do an update. I missed the very last part of your answer there, John. So, but yeah, I think, I don't think we're on different pages here. So
Yeah, I agree.
So this is, I don't care what we do. It's gonna, until such time as we deal with the issues around a vaccine and other, or whatever else they come up with, then I think this is going to always be a moving target, and we're going to have to, change and adapt to in whatever way we have to do. So,
Yeah, you're right, Mark, and that's why we're going to be looking at it every 2 weeks to see what the numbers look like, and make the appropriate adjustments if needed. I did leave out one thing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Yeah.
We're going to continue, with the help of the state, a testing regime that is pretty aggressive. As you might notice, we've been very active in testing, especially on the weekends. There are a lot of sites for free testing, no appointment necessary. The state is encouraging that anybody should be tested. You don't have to have symptoms. You should go anyway, because that's one of the key things is that there are people out there that are without symptoms that are still carrying the virus and spreading it. So with testing, that would allow us to isolate those individuals. So we'll be continuing that. We'll probably have a reverse 911 blast on Friday to all the citizens, alerting them of the testing and reminding them that they could get a test even if they don't have symptoms. I think that's kind of the third part of the strategy here, along with the other 2 items I recommended.
Right. Yeah. And obviously the thrust behind that is if if more people are tested and people come back knowing that they're positive, then they quarantine them, and that it just takes them out of the mix. So, reduce the spread, right? I mean, that's
Exactly.
idea, right? Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So just back to the schools for a moment. I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head. One of the last things that you said in response to Mark was that it's a plan, right? Obviously, it's not chiseled in stone. It's a plan, right? So I'm encouraged that both NPS and NFA they have a plan for, okay, this is when we're going to go back to hybrid. This is when we hope to go back to full in person. But obviously, that's going to depend a lot on, as you said, John, it's going to depend on what happens with the numbers, right? Both before and after. So we spent 2 weeks in hybrid, and numbers start to spike. Well, we're not just going to kick it into full gear with in person. We're going to roll back, and I know that everybody's thinking in those terms. So I'm happy that there's a plan, and I know that there's flexibility in it. But my follow-up question, and to give credit where credit's due, this came from Alderman Wilson, who's attending tonight. Do you know if the school, either NFA or Norwich Public Schools or both, have surveyed the parents about how they feel about the hybrid, going back to the hybrid and the timeline and going back to in-person learning?
Well, I want to be careful not to speak for Dr. Stringfellow, but she was on the call today, and there is certainly concern by parents. There has been actually an increase in parents selecting to stay with opting out of a hybrid situation in the future.
Yep.
So there is that concern, but of course, that's also competing with the parents that are in have a situation where they don't have daycare and items like that. That is very serious. There's a lack of daycare, plus the cost of daycare is somewhat prohibitive for many individuals. So there's that thrust also. So. Can I say that it's overwhelmingly in favor of going back to full in person? I don't think so. I think it both had to be weighed and to see. I will tell you that the evidence shows that the community spread, that the children at this point are probably safer about not getting the virus when they're in school, because of the strict protocols that are implemented by the school, social distancing barriers, masks, cohorts, all those aspects to make the schools safe. And some will say that the children have less chances of getting the virus when they're in school full time than when they're home and interacting with other children in a non setting of protection with or without masks and things. So as you said, I think we'll see as the schools implementing a hybrid and then full return. But it is really open to change, because we really are still working with this virus, and there's things that could work against us, like cold weather, people being more inside, holidays coming up. That's going to be a real challenge. Thanksgiving, we've always had a flare up after a holiday, July, 4th of July, Labor Day especially. That's when we started having the growth. I have no idea what's going to happen during the holidays. It's certainly going to be pressure for people to adhere to social separation is not easy during the holidays. So there's lots of things that could put a downward spiral on this thing, and we really won't know till we experience it.
Right. Yep. Well, and again, not to spur a debate about the issue, but being a teacher myself, the next level of concern here, beyond the concern for kids, is concern for adults that are in the school buildings as well, right? Because the kids are more likely to be carriers at this point and be completely asymptomatic, right? And then yet you have teachers like myself who are in our middle aged, and some older, and are more in high risk groups, and so. I know that there's those concerns, and I know that that's why guys are consulting with Uncas Health, and you're getting all the correct data and all the guidance that follows, and I know that all of those things are being considered. So I don't think that there are any issues here, from a standpoint of just ignoring the facts and pressing forward, and that encourages me. But you know, I cast a weary eye on how this is actually going to come together. I'm just a little bit skeptical on how the whole thing's going to work out, and we'll see. You know, as I said, the entire thing has got many moving parts, and it is entirely flexible. On the COVID resurgence piece, is in terms of the rest of our departments. I would just ask you all, when we get to department updates under new business, that part of your department update be any impacts that you're feeling from this recent spike in the COVID. That way we're not going through all of departments 2 times and extending this meeting any longer than we need to, and still get the information across. So I'd like to move us forward if the committee is satisfied with what the information we've had so far. Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, so then moving on to new business, item A under new business is discussion and possible action on expanding the volunteer firefighter tax abatement. So at our last meeting, we sent a favorable recommendation, or we voted to send a favorable recommendation back to the city council to increase the volunteer firefighter tax abatement. In that meeting, we also discussed the continued discussion, I should say, about expanding, which would be increasing the group specifically to retirees. I have a couple of thoughts on that, just I guess really to spark the discussion, and then committee members feel free to chime in. My first thought on this, as I thought about it over the last few weeks, is that you know, we understand that the situation and that this tax abatement only applies to the volunteer firefighters, and it's only while they are active members, right? With all of the prerequisites that go along for qualifying for the tax abatement, and they lose that tax abatement once they retire and once they stop going on calls. Okay, and at that point, if they have the correct amount of time banked and you know, years of service and so on and so forth, they qualify then for the volunteer firefighter relief fund payments. So the expansion would be talking about would be in addition to volunteer, whether or not a person qualifies for volunteer firefighter relief fund payments or not. So whether they're getting the payments or not, this would expand the tax abatement to all of those retirees, right? So that's my understanding of it, just in broad strokes. So my second comment is that if we're talking about retirees, then if we're talking, and we're going to consider expanding, shouldn't we also consider expanding it to retired career firefighters, obviously, who still live in the city, because you know, obviously the tax abatement can only apply to Norwich residents. So you know, those are really my 2 thoughts, and I'll open the floor to the other members who have thoughts on the matter. Mark Bettencourt, go right ahead.
Honestly, the whole thing's authorized by statute, so I'm not, you know, and they really widened the net for this. So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, we could do everything from ambulance services and a bunch of other job descriptions that probably, you know, fit in the model there. So, but I think the main one here is, I mean, we've applied it, and, you know, as we said, to the, you know, active volunteer firefighters, and this is an opportunity to do it for the you know, retirees who've, you know, like any other job, they, you know, they do their time, and you know, they should receive some kind of stipend, I think, besides, you know, the firefighters retirement fund. So I don't really have an issue with expanding the benefit. I do wonder if we're gonna, I have to talk to Mike a little bit, just because I just want to make sure. I don't think the way we do things here, that there's that many other people that would, that could possibly benefit. So, and that's all I'm saying, that, you know, we might have to deal with, you know, more asks as far as this goes. That's all.
Thank you. So, I think that before, well, let me say it a better way. I'm hesitant to just make a blanket recommendation right now to the council, at this meeting, without corporation council weighing in to determine exactly, what groups under the statute, what groups we should consider. I would hate for us to put a recommendation, let's say, that includes the paid firefighters if the statute doesn't allow us to do that or prohibits us from doing that in some way. And I don't know that that's the case. I'm just saying
Right.
that, I'd like to have
And
that.
the only thing is, just like we did the last time, we really shouldn't be weighing in on this until we have an ordinance in front of us,
I agree. I completely agree. The second thing that I would also like to know is it similar to last month where we actually had the fiscal ramifications in front of us before we even discussed it. And again, that was only because it went to the council first and was referred to us, and that homework was done by Josh. So
there was just an email sent out. I'm not sure if you got it from that was talking about, I think, $20,000 or $30,000 over the over the course of 3 years. At the end of 3 years once it's implemented. So it's not a huge number, but it's a number. So
right, and I don't remember seeing that, but also
yeah, I'll look it up and forward it to you.
But even that, if that was predicated on it only applying to retired volunteer firefighters, and we're going to look at other groups as well,
Yep.
I think we should define what groups we're looking to. So to me, the process is define the groups that we're looking to apply this to, have corporation counsel vet that set of groups to make sure we're authorized to do it, and then, get whatever the result of that analysis is, get the fiscal impacts based on that analysis, and then we actually have something tangible, to talk about with all of the pluses and minuses in front of us before we try to move forward on one version or another. That's just my thought. I'm not really putting that forward as a motion. I'm just saying that's really where I'm at right now. Bill, is there any part of that you would like to weigh in on at this time? No, well, that's fine. Sometimes you guys put your hands up and I miss it, so I just don't want to go, move on without giving everybody a chance. Okay, well, I think we should leave it. My suggestion to the committee is we leave it on the agenda. We keep talking about it. We do some homework about it behind the scenes, and then as it evolves and refines, then we could go from there if it actually becomes a piece of legislation for the council.
I found the email, Joe. I'm going to send it to you and Bill. I don't know who else is on.
All right, great. All right. So that sounds like a plan. All right. And as I said, I will leave it on the agenda. We'll continue to look at it. Thank you for that. Okay, so 5B, department updates, starting with Norwich Public Utilities.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Alderman. Right now, NPU has rolled back our operations to critical and emergency work in accordance with our COVID-19 emergency plan in response to the recent uptick that we have seen. There is no impact to our emergency response, and our leadership team continues to meet daily to monitor the situation as it continues to evolve. Right now, our reservoir water levels stand at 75%. With the recent rain and the rain that we have forecasted, we do hope to see a slight increase. But right now, while we are at 75%, this means that we are at drought response stage 1, which is really an awareness level. Just for information, if we were to drop down to 70%, at that point, we would move into voluntary conservation. And if the levels were to drop down to 60%, at that point, there would be a mandatory conservation. Right now, we are still flushing. We're working in the business park high service area this week, and we do expect to conclude our flushing program this week. With that, that's all I have, pending your questions.
You actually answered my question. All my questions were about reservoir capacity and response to drops in the res. So thank you for that. Anything from the committee? Questions for Eric? No? Nope. That satisfies the committee. Thank you, Eric.
All right, thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, how come my electric rates are so high?
What did you change to Eversource? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say that out loud. Get that, erase that off the tape. Sorry.
Turn off some lights in your house.
All right. Next up, American Ambulance.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Alderman. Rob Ryder here, Director of Operations for American Ambulance. In the month of September, we had 817 responses in the city of Norwich at the emergency level. 249 of those were ALS and 568 of them were BLS. Notably, this is the busiest September for emergencies in the city of Norwich we have had since we started keeping records with our current system, which dates back to 2001. Our most frequent type of call in the city was difficulty breathing, followed by unclassified other BLS emergencies, which typically aren't life-threatening. So I can say that there is a significant uptick. We're clearly above our projected numbers for this last month, and we're continuing to head in that direction as well this month as in addition. During the last month, we did assist primarily as the only service involved with the evacuation of 49 residents from Three Rivers Healthcare on Laurel Hill Avenue, which were all transported by ambulance to various facilities, some local and some not. Our thoughts and prayers are with those patients and their families as they deal with that particular challenge in this life. Our staff as well, we have nobody infected, nobody currently under investigation, and nobody currently out of state on approved travel. We are continuing to monitor travel based on the guidance of the CDC and in accordance with the governor's new and revised executive orders, which allow for return to work for healthcare providers with a negative COVID test. We've only had 1 or 2 people that actually went to a state that was under a travel restriction period. Our staff has been pretty good about maintaining things locally and staying out of trouble. Our PPE stores are still holding strong, and we are continuing to deal with widespread community infection rates across the city. In concert with the health department and the Bacchus Hospital, we are tracking each and every one of those addresses and alerting it in our CAD system, so our crews and hopefully Norwich Fire are also aware. And that there's a secondary channel of communication between, I believe, the health department and the city dispatch as well. So everybody should be well versed as far as where and who we need to worry about for responses in the city. Other than that, pending any questions, I don't have anything further for you.
I do not have any questions for you, committee members. All right, nothing, Robert. Thank you very much for your report. Norwich Police Department, Chief Daly.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We had a busy month besides COVID-related issues. In the last week alone, Sunday night, a fall Sunday night, we had 2 shootings, which resulted in 2 guns being recovered. The next night, on a Monday, we had a stolen car recovered with a gun located inside the car. So 3 handguns taken off the street in the last week just speaks to some of the issues that we're dealing with out there and the prevalence of guns and gun-related crimes in the city. We also assisted Rhode Island Police Department with a search and seizure warrant, which resulted in the recovery of an assault weapon off of Cliff Street. We're dealing with 2 missing person investigations. You saw the press release on that, I'm sure. We continue to follow up on that. As for COVID impacts, we've had 2 officers test positive for COVID. 1 officer has been out on quarantine due to come back next week. That's where we stand with that. We are encouraging all our officers to get tested, and many have. And then we're also encouraging all staff to get the flu shot this year. Uncas Health and the Connecticut Health Department and the CDC have been pretty adamant about getting your flu shots as we come into flu season. We had also about 10 in the last 2 months or so. We've had 10 fentanyl overdose incidents in the last during the last reporting period, so that's getting our attention as well. We have an active murder warrant for a suspect, Wise, that we're continuing to follow up to locate him. 3 officers who were now off of FTO. one remains on FTO, and 3 officers started the police academy in the past month. That's all we have, and answer any questions you guys have.
So you mentioned that the increase in heroin, fentanyl incidents, is that an uptick from the you said that was that an uptick from the last reporting period?
Yes, it was. It's as the fall came, we saw an uptick in our fentanyl-related incidents. I don't know if it's a batching issue or just something, a new supply chain into the town, but we're aggressively working on it with our state and federal partners.
And these gun-related crimes, are they also drug-related? Do without giving away too much of your investigative, power, is there a correlation between increased drug activity, increased gun activity in the city?
Usually when you dig deep enough, there's always a drug-related nexus to everything. Either it's a drug dealer who has a gun illegally to protect himself, or a drug user who protects himself from drug dealers. So usually there is a narcotic-related nexus to any gun crimes.
Okay. Well, those are my 2 questions. Committee members, anything for the chief? No other questions, Chief. Thank you very much, Pat. I appreciate it.
Get tested. There's a lot of clinics out there. We're trying to get the public messaging out there. There's testing available. We've been working with the testing sites. Please feel free to go. There's probably 4 sites this weekend coming up again. It's if you hit them right, it's a very short wait. So I encourage everyone to get tested, even if you don't need it.
Right. Yeah.
We've done, there's been like 3 or 4 recent reverse 911 calls regarding the testing. I think 3, I just got one while we were there. So,
yeah, we're going to continue doing that, and the state's pushing hard for the reverse 911. We've been talking about getting our message boards up more regularly, not the day of testing, but leaving them up to get the public messaging out there. Unfortunately, we were talking this afternoon. A lot of times it's yesterday's news because everybody went and got tested last week. They think they're good. Well, you might have been negative last week and you could be positive this week. So if you start to feel bad, you might want to get tested. But then even if you weren't tested, you still continue. The emergency is not over. The numbers are trending down, but they're not down to the August level yet. So I would encourage everyone to get tested as public officials to reach out to your constituents and tell them to get tested. The state stepped up big to offer these clinics for us, and we as a community, I think, have to follow through.
Agreed. Actually, I do have one other question. Did you hear the public comment at the beginning of the meeting?
I was just going to ask that.
Yes, I did.
Any thoughts on improving access from the outside because with the lobby being locked?
There's a buzzer there. The caller, Alderman Philbrook was right. There is cameras there. The area is monitored, and we did install a buzzer probably 2 months ago. Off to the side, there's a bell that's marked "Press for help" if someone doesn't come out immediately.
Okay.
I wanted to comment on that as well because listen, I understand I'm a councilman, so when I'm standing in front of the camera, the dispatcher, some of them know who we are, some of them don't, but I've never had more than a minute wait when I push the button. And again, I don't know if that's because, I'm Bill Nash, the councilman, or if I'm just some citizen, because I don't think all the dispatchers know who we are. So I haven't had an issue with it. I don't know if that was just a bad day that she was there and didn't.
It could be as simple as the call volume and dispatch.
Yeah.
The dispatchers, they're the ones who are responsible to get the door, and there are times, we're busy with either helping with a prisoner or could be a multitude of reasons. And I'm not making excuses, but there are times that the response isn't as timely as I'd like it. But since we're already battling 2 COVID infections here, not only are we trying to keep the workforce safe, we're trying to keep the public safe from us, to be honest with you, because if you consider there's 88 of us, we have almost like 3% infection rate here. So you don't want to come in here unless you really have to. So, I think keeping the doors secured is, we don't like it either, but it's a necessary evil to keep our staff and the public safe from us because we do contact everybody out there.
Right. You answered my greatest concern, Pat, is that, if, as Joanne said, if a person in an emergency walks up to that door or runs up to that door and does not have the cell phone or does not have it with them or whatever the case may be, is there another way to contact dispatch? And clearly there is, and you said so, and that, that's really, that's the most important thing. So, again, it's all of the little inconveniences and also, kind of hierarchy of how we're addressing this pandemic, which, again, we're all learning on the fly here. So
Yeah, as you know, Joe and Bill will laugh. We couldn't find the key to lock the front door when this all started.
it wasn't hidden in Chief Abley's desk somewhere, right? Or,
I tell you, I swear to God, I got a box of keys from Chief Abley and I went through every one of them. I think I got keys to buildings that don't exist anymore, but we couldn't find the key to lock the front door. So we're trying to get through it.
Yeah, I think maybe Chief Krasicki took it with him when he left.
He might have.
All right. Well, thanks again, Pat. Moving on, emergency management. Chief Benjamin, I saw you there. Thank you.
Good evening, Joe and council members. For the emergency management report, as you guys have all mentioned, we are continuing with the ongoing testing. And as Mark mentioned, there is a test site that's running tomorrow at the emergency management building. The state set us up one, running from 9 to 11. It'll be a free test site, and we're asking everybody to attend. And as we've all said, some of these other test sites that we've had have, you still hearing me, Joe?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No problem.
The other test sites, the satellite test sites aren't getting used enough. Some of us went up to Uncas School last week and Waquanic School, where we really expected to see a large turnout. The people just aren't getting there. The ones that are getting tested are going to the standard test sites. So we just need to spread the word more, and that's why they're doing the reverse 911 to get the word out, because we have to continue the testing, and we're fortunate to have the state providing this opportunity to us. We're continuing to provide the support and logistics for the drive-through tests. These are being done through Region 4 and through state and regional testing companies. We've reached out to Laurel Hill Fire Department, coordinating a plan to reactivate their CERT team to help us moving forward. We've been providing PPE assistance to the registrar of voters for the upcoming election and their COVID concerns. And that's about it for the emergency management side. Any questions that I might be able to answer?
No questions for me, committee members? No? All right, so we're good. You want to move right into the Norwich Fire report?
Yeah, right into the Norwich Fire. For the month, we responded to 270 calls, 180 of them being EMS, 90 being fire. We provided aid 4 times, received it twice. We had an average response time from time of dispatch to call being on scene 3 minutes and 16 seconds. And we spent an average of 16.5 minutes on scene. As far as COVID goes, we also have had 2 members affected. One was experienced symptoms, has had a full recovery. He's actually working tonight. Yesterday was his first day back. He was out for 17 days. And the second is asymptomatic with no symptoms, but he tested positive. He's scheduled to return on Saturday if everything stays the same. And similar to Chief Daly, when we have 2 cases within the department, it's a widespread spread rate. So we have 28 of our members actually self-monitoring for symptoms. So to what Chief Daly's point is, there's a reason that we need to keep these buildings closed and try to keep us isolated.
Completely agree. Okay, any questions from the committee members on the fire side for Norwich Fire? No. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Moving on, TAFL. I saw Chief Jenks there a little while ago. Oh, there he is.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Good to see you, Chief.
I hope everybody's doing well. I apologize for not making last month. So,
Right back at you, man.
so for the last, since August and September, we responded to 162 calls. 19 of them, or 11.73, were overlapping. We gave mutual aid 22 times in the last 2 months. And our response times still are well within, we've got an average of 6 minutes from time out to time on scene, which isn't too bad considering the guy's got to get up, come home, and drive here. Apparatus is ongoing. The new rescue truck is here. It's not in service. We're currently dealing with an issue with the radio vendor. That's like the one domino that if we get that fixed, and all the other little projects we got working on will fall into place. We've been working with NPU on moving some poles to open the parking lot up a little bit. Budget's stable. As far as COVID goes, every month we review our COVID operations plan. We just sent another one out for review for our officers to go over. The membership is healthy. We do have, since the uptick started, we have gone back to, if you want to call it phase 1. So the building is locked down. We've limited access to the active people coming to calls. We've suspended the training, things of that nature, or anything that would people would have a tendency to migrate in large groups. PPE is doing well. We've been monitoring the list we get from Uncas Health. We've been, doing a lot of that, a lot of the social distancing and stuff like that. Other than that, that's pretty much all I got, unless you guys got any questions.
No, you covered everything that I was going to ask you. Committee members?
Excuse me? Oh.
Nothing from the committee. All right. Thank you, Tim. Let's see. So I saw Frank was in here a little while ago. Chief Blanchard or Yannick Fire Company? Might have had to go somewhere. Okay. Occam. Is anyone from Occam in attendance tonight? Looks like someone's trying. There we go.
There we go.
There.
Hey, I had technical difficulty last month. For some reason, I couldn't get on to give my report to you guys. I don't know if it was on my end or your end or what it was, but I tried 4 different times and I just couldn't get online.
It's the pain of not being in the same space.
Yeah, that's right. We'll get along here. We currently have 37 members. We got 1 new application, so that we're going to do an interview with that one. We are up to 125 calls for the year. 15 of them are mutual aid. Last month we had 30 calls. As far as training, we have 2 in EMT class, 1 in firefighter 1, 1 in firefighter 2. And this Saturday, the 17th, my deputy chief and my captain will be attending instructor 1 class. We had our chicken barbecue on the 3rd of last month. It went well. We followed the guidelines set forth for himself, and it went well. Everything was just takeout, 1 steady line. We were done serving in an hour. The firehouse right now is shut down for drills and meetings. We have no cases in the fire department, thank God. And we have plenty of PPE that we are utilizing. And every call we make, everybody wears a mask, an N95. There is no excuses. As far as things to replace, the only thing I can think of right now is engine 41, but we all knew that anyway. That's an old issue. And basically, that's all I have right now. If you have any questions, I will answer what I can.
Alderman Bettencourt, go right ahead.
Hey, just one question, Chief. How's the building doing?
The building's doing fine. As a matter of fact, we've been in touch with Kathy Austin, and she has procured an $80,000 grant for us for building repairs or upgrades, and we have not received it. It was supposed to start July, and it has not received anything from her as of yet. I talked to her at the chicken barbecue, and she has been fighting with the comptroller there in the state to release the money. But other than that, we just have to wait and see what happens.
Was it bonded?
Nope, this is a straight grant to the Ockham Fire Department.
I'm in mute.
Did you have
This is something Kathy went after for us, and it came through. But we just haven't had the money given to us or allotted to us or anything. It will be involving finance anyway. The 80,000 will go to them so that we can do the 3-bid process on what we need to do.
What do you plan on doing with it?
Well, we need to upgrade lighting. We need to, in the hall upstairs, go to the LED stuff. It needs heat in the stairwell. The stair chair right now isn't working. We got to get that fixed right off. A key lock, not a key lock, but a entry lock system, key code or a fob for the doors. It's just costing us too much money to keep changing locks every time somebody is disgruntled and leaves, you know. And the bathroom downstairs, we need to finish that off so it's handicap accessible with what we want to do.
That's an old one. Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right, Chief, I don't have any other questions. Alderman Nash is good, so thank you very much for your report.
All right, thank you. Stay safe, gentlemen.
You too, thank you. East Great Plain. Chief Milton emailed me because he is working. He wasn't sure if he'd be able to attend, so he sent me a report. I will read it into the record, and then I will forward it to the recording secretary as a document. So it says, October Public Safety Meeting, EGP responded to 84 emergency responses in the month of September. They had 9 overlapping calls. EGP went on mutual aid 9 times and received aid 1 time. They had their routine monthly trainings. Apparatus had routine maintenance. E52 was out of service for approximately 5 days for different issues, including an issue with the front suspension, the pump, and some electrical issues. Their PPE supplies are good for the pandemic. All members are taking precautions on calls, and they are limiting only certified EMS responders to EMS emergency responses. 1 member is currently isolating as they had to travel out of state, but has been tested and is awaiting the results. And they're currently getting quotes for the asbestos abatement project in the hall. And then lastly, it says EGP, it says is receiving, I believe they received this the other day on Monday, they've a drone that is being donated from a company named Airborne Works through a program called National Public Safety Drone Donation Program. The donation of the drone is made possible by Autel Robotics and Fox Fury Lighting. And the chief says that this will be an asset to Norwich and will be available for any department that needs it. The donation will be made on October 19th at 11 a.m. So obviously that was pushed back. Okay, so Monday, October 19th at 11 a.m. at the firehouse. They'll be receiving this drone. That's great news. Okay, so that is the report from EGP. Moving on to Laurel Hill. I saw Aaron. Yeah, I saw Aaron in the meeting. Chief Westerfeld.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Chief. Go right ahead.
Okay. So for Laurel Hill, for the year, we've done 78 calls. Average response time is just over 5 minutes for all calls. Membership is doing well. We currently don't have anyone on suspicion. There are a couple people who have gotten tested as a precaution. We're waiting results on those. PPE is doing well. We don't have any concerns with that. We're taking all the precautions when we go to calls like everyone else. Training is kind of what we've been doing the entire time. A lot of Zoom trainings when we can, and everyone's wearing masks when we have to be at the station for calls or anything else. Other than that, we're going pretty well. 62 was out of service for about 4 days. We had an alternator issue, and then some other things popped up along with that. So it was out of service for about almost an entire week consecutive. So other than that, everything is currently in service, and we are pretty good.
Okay, any questions from the committee members? Nothing from the members, nothing from me, Chief. Thank you very much for your report.
Not a problem.
Okay, moving on to new business item C, City Manager update on the 2020 Fire Service Study.
Hey,
There we go.
we had interviews with various city officials, fire chiefs, and other staff scheduled for October 5th and 6th. They were postponed because that was kind of in the teeth of the virus work that we had to do. They've been rescheduled, and they're going to be on October 25th, I believe, and 26th.
26th.
If you have it, yeah, if you haven't received you should be receiving word from Jackie for the reschedule. I don't know if Joe, you have or not, but you should be getting that. Other than that, they're on schedule. They've done a workaround about the interviews and are doing other statistical work before they do the interviews rather than the other way around. And that's my report for this evening, Joe.
Right, so just to piggyback on that, yeah, so I have the email here in front of me. Jackie did send that out. The schedule for October 26th and 27th.
Oh, 26th, 27th, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, sent to everybody. I know that Chief Jenks replied that his appointed time is okay with him. For the rest of you that are lined up in the batting order there for the interviews, please just send Jackie a response that you can still make the interview. Should be at the same time as originally scheduled, just on a different date. So just please check your calendars and get back to her in case any changes need to be made. Other than that, I appreciate the additional information, John.
You're welcome.
And then moving on to item D, 5D, public safety items for further discussion. Do the members have anything that you would like me to add to the agenda, or items from any of the chiefs or any of the participants on things that the Public Safety Committee should start taking a look at? Go ahead.
I don't mind. This sounds a little silly, and I'm not even sure if it's worth even bringing up. But you know how we have Halloween activities. What's the city's stance on it? Are we going to be getting any information out? Are we going to limit the movement of children through the neighborhoods? How's that going to work? Have we made any decision on what's going to occur there? Because I know there are some communities doing trunk candy stuff and fire.
Okay.
So I was just wondering what we're doing. What have we thought about it?
So,
Take a shot at that, Joe?
yeah, yes, please.
Leanne is working on that as we speak. We're taking I will tell you that we're taking a pretty conservative viewpoint on it, that we don't want to encourage any type of crowds. So we're trying to work on something that will be enjoyable for the children, but be safe. They're thinking of some virtual programs. They did that for the community day and it worked out very well. I told her the only problem, and you could understand my concern with this, is that there's no such thing as virtual candy. So I want to see how they can handle that one. But so we're working on it. I think that we want to get it out probably early next week to give them about 2 weeks, 2 weeks notice and all that. You know, Bill, you're not going to be able to, there's going to be some people that are going to go out no matter what.
No, I just wanted to make sure that we were advising the community of the best practice.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're going to probably see kids out and you're going to say, what the heck are they doing?
Because I tell you, I went up to Salem, Massachusetts on Saturday, and it was absolutely insanely mobbed. I mean, there was no social distancing. I mean, everyone had masks on, but I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, we were shoulder to shoulder and chest to back. I mean, it was just insane up there. So my concern was our community.
Yeah.
We have some great neighborhoods where kids get driven into to trick or treat.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that we're ahead of that.
Yeah, we're
some
gonna-
sort of safety issue, that's all.
We'll be ahead of it. I think it was a great question. Just a quick side thought. When I was in Newington, we had that freak Halloween snowstorm. I think in Norwich you had mostly rain, but up where I was, it was snow. And there were tons of power lines down on Halloween and trees down and all that. And we literally did cancel Halloween officially. We tried to do that. And because there were still live wires out and things, you know, it was very, very hazardous. And believe it or not, there still was a portion of people that took their children around, kind of going around the wires and whatnot. So you can't make this stuff up. So no matter what we do, there will be a certain amount. But I think it's good that we have a policy, at least for to give some people some guidance on common sense, hopefully.
Thank you for that, John. Tim Jenks, I see you have your hand up. Please go right ahead, sir.
So anybody knows that Taffel's a very close-knit neighborhood. The fire company over the last 50 years or so has done a Halloween parade and party. Last year we gave out over 400 bags of candy and ice cream. We've already put the word out this year that due to COVID, we're not doing it at all. So we'll still have people around, but we're not distributing candy or anything else like that. Usually we end up shutting down Providence Street in front of the station, and we just couldn't come up with a safe way to do it with social distancing. So we did get the word out through our social media and our website that we won't be doing it. So that'll hopefully help out a little bit along them lines.
Perfect. Thank you, Tim. So John, I would just ask that, first of all, Bill, the issue is not silly at all. That was a great thought. We should discuss this, and I will add it to our agenda for the November 12th meeting. And and John, I would just ask that whatever provisions and things that that you guys roll out, just to brief us on all of that on the 12th, so it'll be in the record of that meeting as well.
Well, I'll try to get you something before the holiday of Thanksgiving, just so you got a heads up in case you get calls from people, and you'll be able to answer their questions.
Yeah, all right. Yep, that would be fine too. So, okay. So thank you for that, Bill. That's a good thought. Any other items that you would like me to add to the agenda or that we should plan on discussing coming up? All right, nothing. Thank you very much. All right, so item number 6 is a mistake on the agenda. That is my fault. Our next meeting will be November the 12th because of Veterans Day falls on that second Wednesday. So our meeting is Thursday, November 12th, 2020. And I fully anticipate that it will be a Zoom meeting. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, so moved by Alderman Nash, seconded by Alderman Bettencourt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Good night.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much for everybody for an extended meeting, but a great meeting. So have a great night, have a good week, and be safe.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.